of TVC Breakfast, highlighting the achievements of this government in the past 1 year. And joining us to talk more on this from Abuja is Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Veronica. Good to be here.
Thank you. Now, there's been a mixed bag of emotions and reaction with regards to how this government has performed in the past 1 year when you place it side by side, the 8-point agenda of the president while he was campaigning. But talk to us from the perspective of government, how the journey has been.
Well, thank you for having me once again. I think the journey has been a very challenging one, but one also that desires to take Nigeria to its destination. Recall that when the president came in exactly a year ago, Nigeria has almost lost focus of where it actually is or where it wants to be. The president came on May 29th of last year and began to restore hope of Nigerians. The first thing was that this monster called the fuel subsidy was taken away. You recall that the subsidy was, eating the large chunk of the revenues accruing to the Federation for Nigerians to have good roads, for Nigerians to have functional education, for Nigerians to have hospitals that are really functional, and for the agricultural sector to actually have what it takes to provide food security. So Nigeria began to see hope once again the moment President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office on the 29th of May last year. Of course, like I said, it's been challenging. The president didn't expect it to be that smooth. So many tough decisions have had to be taken. Like I say, fuel subsidy had to go. The foreign exchange regime was unified. The insecurity that was almost everywhere was also being addressed and being tackled. Security agencies were being charged with new tasks of ensuring that our country remains very safe. Of course, we know that we still have challenges in that regard, but you agree with me that significantly security has been restored, largely in most parts of this country, especially in the northeastern part, in the northwestern part, and even some parts of the south where we had issues of kidnappings and all that. Now, has it been that, do we say that we have gone to the desired destination? No, but we are on the way. Government is focused. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is focused. All his appointees are focused in that direction. And we know that very soon the kind of prosperity that the President has promised Nigerians is already in the horizon. The state governors, the subnationals, are having more funds, for example, just like the federal government, at its disposal to embark on a lot of projects. Almost in all parts of the country, governors are turning their cities and towns into construction sites. The agricultural sector is being revamped. We are now, for the first time, seeing dry season farming taking its rightful place in this country. In parts of this country, for example, in Jigawa, in Kebbi, and in other parts, you can go to the farm 3 times a year, meaning that we no longer depend on rain-fed agriculture for that. You also see the policies of government, for example, in the education sector. Students and parents are now having a sigh of relief because they are now feeling that. Everyone that desires to go to school will go to school. Like the president has said, no one is going to be left out of school because his parents or guardian is unable to pay for his school fees, courtesy of the new revamped students' loan fund. The consumer credit is also being established. So many things are happening. Nigeria is on the right track. Of course, like I said, it's not going to be an easy ride. Everyone knows that. The president is very clear about that. He has always likened to our situation to a woman who is in labor, who, of course, will feel that the world was going to calm down. But as soon as delivery is taken, the woman begins to smile again and hopes to have another baby. I think that Nigeria is on the right track. I think that Nigeria is taking its rightful place. Everywhere you go, home and abroad, Nigeria is being held once again. Look at the diplomatic shuttles that the president has embarked upon. He's been to all parts of the world, and everywhere you go, the new darling of the world is Nigeria. Everybody wants to see the new direction that Nigeria is going. Investors are beginning to come back. Only recently, we heard from the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment that over $30 billion of new investment has come into the country. We are seeing what is happening in the health sector. Only recently also, the Minister of Health has assured Nigerians that about 10 tertiary health facilities are being built around this country. Now, all these things are happening. These things were almost like a mirage, almost just a year ago. Nigeria is coming back. Nigeria is taking its rightful place. And I think that we are on the right journey. We call on everyone to support Mr. President, to support this administration, irrespective of what your beliefs are, in terms of political affiliation or whatever your interest is. Nigeria is on the right track. Nigeria is taking a rightful place. And I think that we're going in the right direction.
Yes, Honorable Minister, I read an article by a friend of mine, Magnus Oyibe, in which he spoke about the construction of the reconstruction or the revamping of the Third Mainland Bridge, in which he said that, it took about 6 months for David Umahi to get it done, and many people went through pains, going through different routes, and it was really painful. But once it was done, everybody now rides the Third Mainland Bridge, and everybody's enjoying it, and they've forgotten the pain of going through Oworoshoki, going through Oyigbo, going to all those diversions with all the time and the inconveniences and so on. So he was using that as a metaphor for what Nigeria is going through now, that in order for you to get the ride on the Third Mainland Bridge, you have to go through pains and so on. So the Third Mainland Bridge is coming, but we need to go through the pains. Now, as a Minister of Information, how much burden do you have to really carry in order to explain to Nigerians that the Third Mainland Bridge of our lives, of labor, the Third Mainland Bridge of education, the Third Mainland Bridge of food security, the Third Mainland Bridge of security, and all of those things are coming?
Well, thank you for that metaphor. The Third Mainland Bridge metaphor and the childbirth that Mr. President has always also been talking about are all metaphors to tell you that you cannot have an easy ride to prosperity. Of course, when the Third Mainland Bridge is being built, everyone will feel the inconveniences. If for example, you built your own house, let me give another example. You are building your own house, a house that you have been staying in, and you feel that the ceiling is bad. You think that the toilet will need to be reconstructed. You think that the floors are already caving in. You think that the walls are bending. It is necessary for you to get all these things rebuilt. But once that is being done, you will have the discomfort of moving probably from your bedroom to another side of the house. You may have the discomfort of not using your conveniences, the ones that you are used to. You have to go to other places. So it's been a very difficult one. You know that Nigerians sometimes don't want to see or want to acknowledge the hardship of the moment. But there is no way that you can build a nation, and a nation that you all desire, without first going through some hardship. The metaphor of the Third Mainland Bridge is a very good one. If you didn't endure that hardship, if you didn't have that patience, if you didn't have that, have that vision that after, some months of discomfort, you're going to go to, to the promised land, it will become very difficult. So it's been a very difficult one. Everybody wants good life, but nobody wants to wait for and go through the processes of having good life. I'll give you an example. if you want to go to school, for example, everyone wants to have a degree. Every student in the university, for example, wants to have a degree. But you know that you have to have some nights or some sleepless nights. You know that you have to burn the midnight oil. You know that you have to forgo some meals. You know that you have to forgo parties, forget some of the things that you are used to. So it is important that everyone, all Nigerians, will have to come on board. It doesn't matter whether you like the president or not. You have to like your country. Nigeria is for all of us. The road to prosperity is not an easy one. It is not a smooth ride. But of course, by the time you get there, you will have all the good comforts. You will have the smoothness of the third mainland bridge in your lives. You have the third, like you said also, the third mainland bridge of your dream in your hospitals, in your schools, in the agricultural sector. When, for example, dams were being rebuilt in Jigawa State, for example, I mean, discomfort, the villagers or the farmers around there were having some discomfort. But today, you go to the farmlands in Jigawa, and all of them are so happy with what they have. Indeed, I was there a few months ago, and in a town hall meeting together with some of my colleagues in the Federal Communications team. We went there, and the farmers were saying, we don't need anything again. And I asked why. They said, everything that they needed had been provided by government. All they needed was for the irrigation canals to be in place, for the agricultural input to be provided, for security to be there for them, and the sky is their limit. Now, a young man in Jigawa now that will hitherto want to come to Abuja or want to go to Lagos will have no need for that, because whatever he thinks he's going to get in Abuja or is going to get was already provided right there on the farmland for him. Why would he need to enter a vehicle and come to an uncertain life elsewhere when he knows that he can hook up to the agricultural value chain right in his own community and have a good life, perhaps better life than somebody who has taken this migratory journey elsewhere? So it's been a difficult one. Everyone doesn't want to endure hardship, but hardship has to be endured for our country to be rebuilt. Remember, all the things that are happening now didn't just happen overnight. You can't build a nation within just 1 year. Nobody expects that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will come in and fix everything that has happened in this country in the last 1 year. We've been talking about fuel subsidy monster, for example, in the last 20 years or so. Nobody had the courage. Everyone that contested, for example, with him, all the major candidates said they were going to take this monster out of our system. But once it was time to take the monster out, I expected that every one of them would rally around the president and say, yes, this was a good thing. Everybody felt, and I started talking as if we shouldn't have taken this monster away. So were you lying when you say you want to take it out? Or were you just doing that so that you can get Nigerian votes and then come back and say that you are no longer going to take them? I mean, budgetary provision was not provided after June of last year for the fuel subsidy regime. So what were we supposed to do? To go back to the old ways and keep saying and keep postponing and then making all those kind of provisions and then come back again and say we are postponing for the evil day? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very courageous leader. He has taken this decision in the interest of our country. Everyone, is seeing what is happening in terms of accruals in the federation's revenue. The central government, the federal government, the subnationals, meaning the state governments and the local governments, are always having more money now at their disposal. Everybody is happy. The governors are happy for that. Let them use that money to build good lives for their people. Just as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also putting this money into agriculture, he's putting this money into the education sector, he is revamping our health facilities, he is building more roads. I mean, what do we expect? I think that we should all rally around. Yes, of course, occasionally you have bombs. You change some of your direction, but of course the focus remains the same. All of us have to travel on this road to prosperity. It is not easy. It has not been an easy thing for all of us, especially for those who have the task of convincing Nigerians or informing or communicating these programs and policies.
Hear us from the studio here in Lagos.
Yes, but I must thank God that, yes.
Honorable Minister, I want to confirm whether you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so it is against that backdrop, I actually wanted to ask you the question concerning, the fact that we have the president, doing everything, infrastructure, reforms and all of that to make Nigeria better. It's another thing for the governors. At least today marks first year anniversary for about 28 governors who have also been elected into offices. How much more do you think the government and the subnationals are actually doing in order to better the lot of their own citizens within their own states, rather? Because just like you said, according to the Federal Government Allocation Agency, the Federation Account, Allocation Committee, they said approximately 1.548 trillion naira in disbursement states have actually received this. That's besides the 13% derivation revenue which some other states are enjoying. So the question people are asking is, how has this bettered the lot of the common masses? So what do you think the government and the subnationals are also doing in order to help this administration deliver the dividends of democracy?
Well, thank you for that question. I think this is a question that I also need to ask. Perhaps the best people to answer this question are the managers of our subnationals. In this case, the governors and the local governments. Of course, you know that some of the governors are doing very well. Plowing back these revenues that are coming to them from the federation account and putting them back into infrastructure and things like that. But there are many more that need to actually measure up. Most of these individuals are not residing in Abuja. They are residing at the states. So it is incumbent on the state governors to do more for their people. I'm not saying that all of them are not doing what they are supposed to do, but I think that with attention, and Nigerians need to ask questions, and I think the media also need to focus more on the subnationals. I'm not saying they should take their lenses off the federal government, but the focus should also be on the state governors. And look at what has happened recently. The federal government has had to take the pain of approaching the courts to seek for autonomy, real financial, economic autonomy for the local government areas. It's common knowledge that whatever accrues to local government now, is being utilized by the governors. So we need to do more. I agree with that, and change our focus. We shouldn't just be talking about the federal government all the time. Yes, the federal government is there. It is doing its own responsibility, and that is why when you have so much revenue accruing to the federation account, the federal government is not taking all the money. The federal government's revenue is increasing, so is also the revenue accruing to the subnationals. So if the federal government is revamping, building roads, repairing Third Mainland Bridge, putting money into the healthcare, rebuilding our schools and doing so many things, then we should also ask the subnationals to do the same. They are getting more money, no doubt. So let there be accountability in that direction. And one of the questions that people are always asking is, what is happening to the local governments? They are the tier of government that is very close to the people. What is happening there? Sometimes the local governments are very dysfunctional. I mean, you go there, after the allocation is being given, you find the local government chairman absent. They have either relocated to the state capitals or even have come to Abuja because there's nothing for them to do. I think the governors need to sit down and rethink this local government arrangement, put money back to this local government structure, and everybody will be better for it. The governors need to do more. I agree with you completely. This is a question that Nigerians need to ask. We need to ask ourselves, as you ask the federal government to be accountable, you should also ask the subnationals to also be accountable. In any case, they are all constraints of the same federal government. So yes, the federal government should be allowed to its responsibility as it's always doing, but the governor should also be held accountable. The media should put more searchlight on
Honorable Minister,
the subnationals more than they are doing now. Yes.
Right. Quickly, because of our time, recently you were quoted as saying that Nigerians should have patience and faith in the president. How much more patience and faith should Nigerians have moving forward?
Yes, I think that Nigerians should have more patience. Nigerians should have more faith in the president. He has demonstrated in every action, he has demonstrated in every decision that he has taken that he is doing this in the interest of this country. Like the previous speaker that was in the studio before me came, criticisms will be there. Everybody, it's very easy to just sit down and say the federal government is not doing this or the president is not doing that. But we are all seeing that we are on a journey, on a very long journey. Democracy and economic prosperity and with any kind of positive or progressive movement is not a one-leap journey. It is a long walk, and we don't expect that Nigeria is going to be fixed within 1 year. But all the indices that will indicate that we are on the right track are there. We are seeing that in this country. People outside this country are also seeing. The president, for example, has set up the PEBEC, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, to enable businesses to come. I said it earlier here that over $30 billion dollars of investments, commitments are already in this country. Manufacturers, even though some will argue that some of them are leaving, but only yesterday, the president also received some business members of the business community from outside this country, and they have reaffirmed their commitment to remain in this country. I'll give you an example. I was in Kebbi State, for example, a few months ago. There's a company, a Spanish company that is based in Kebbi State, doing tomato farming and tomato processing there. I've not seen anything of that, and I think it's the best in the sub-Saharan Africa. With all the challenges there, this Spanish company has kept faith with our country. Our women folk have been engaged. You see massive tomato production, and not just tomato production, tomato processing, and you see women folk working, throughout the farmlands there in Kebbi State, and is a very good example that I've seen. I've gone to Jigawa, I've gone to Kano, and we had meetings with the business community there. They're all having hope that, yes, even though it's a very challenging time, but the road to prosperity, like I said, is here, and we're on the right journey. Nigerians should have faith in the president. They should have faith in his belief in this country. He is a patriot. He's a Democrat. We are on a very long democratic journey. We need to have faith in our country for us to move forward. I've not seen any country that has reached prosperity by losing faith in itself. I think we need to recover our senses in the sense that it is not good for all of us to keep saying that or emphasizing the negatives about this country. And that is why the National Values Charter that we are also championing at the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation is all about. Let's have faith in our country, believe in this country. Yes, things may not be all that, all the time good, but we all know that we need to work hard so that we can get that desired nation that all of us need to have.
All right, let's quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue this conversation with you. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. It's still the special edition of TVC Breakfast, highlighting the gains of this current administration that is celebrating 1 year in office today. And we still have with us from our Abuja studio, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Sam, you want
to Honorable Minister, I'd like you to talk to the issue of agriculture. You spoke about dry farming and all of that. The minister spoke about over 100,000 hectares that are now under cultivation. Can you give us a sense of what it is and what the roadmap is between the hectares and the cultivation and also on, and then the issue of food security going forward?
Well, let me start with the issue of food security. You know that the ministry was called Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development at various times, even sometimes Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources and all that. But the president came and said he has rechristened him. He has renamed it Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. What that means is that he's putting a lot of emphasis on food security, because for us to have the desired fiscal security that we all need, we also have to have food security. Now, what has the president done? The president has come with a very robust plan of, in the first instance, bringing about 120,000 hectares of land under cultivation. And we're already seeing that happening. He didn't stop there. He sought the help of financing from the African Development Bank, and they made that also possible by putting a lot of money, over $138 million investment in that regard. If you go to Jigawa, the example I gave you earlier, almost everywhere there has turned green. The farmers are very happy. They are not just cultivating rice, they are cultivating wheat, they are cultivating hibiscus, and packaging this and exporting it out of this country already. I gave the example of Kebbi State. I've seen also what is happening in Niger. For example, the state governor there is investing heavily also in the agricultural sector. So also governors of Benue, Taraba, and other parts of the country. Now, agricultural food security or food security generally is something that all of us need to have. If you don't have, you can't feed yourself, then it becomes very difficult for you to manage yourself. So the president has seen that, and he has said the Minister of Agriculture gave him a marching order, ensure that the rice that all of us eat here, we grow here. We grow what we eat what we grow. That has been the slogan. And the president, despite all the pressures, especially in the last couple of months for him to open up the borders and import rice, he has resisted that. He believes that Nigeria can still produce what it eats. He believes that with the right kind of policy and right kind of supervision, the Ministry of Agriculture and indeed all those practicing agriculture will have whatever they require to feed this country. Now, if you go to Jigawa, and I keep going back there because I have been there, I went there with the National Communications team, and we've seen what has happened, what is happening there. They are growing crops, or they are growing food 3 times a year there. In the past, we were relying on rain-fed agriculture, but because of the massive investment, of course, it didn't just start today, but the kind of focus that the president is putting there is unprecedented. Never a time in our history have we seen that kind of focus on agriculture. And like the Minister of Agriculture is always talking about, the agricultural value chain investment that the government is putting attention on will certainly help this country to not just feed itself, but also feed other parts of the world. I think we are on a bright journey in that direction. And I think that with the kind of support that the federal government is giving, I recall recently that for wet season farming, the Central Bank of Nigeria gave Nigerian farmers through the Ministry of Agriculture 2.15 million bags of assorted fertilizer. And now the biggest input you need in agriculture is fertilization. And that is already being provided, And I need to add this before we stop that. The new focus is that support is going to the real farmers. And I listened to the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security only last night. Support is going to the real farmers, not farmers in Abuja, not farmers who have farms in their bags or in their files. Whatever input, whatever support you are giving to the farmers, the farmers who have farms are actually being targeted. In other words, there is a match between support and the actual practice of farming on ground. I think that is significant. It's a significant shift from what we have been having in the past, where farmers, are staying in Abuja here and claiming that they have all kinds of acreages of farms in their pockets and in their farms without the actual farms being in existence. There's a market shift.
Unfortunately, Honorable Minister, time is not our friend. We need to end this conversation right now. There are so many issues to be addressed, especially in the areas of agriculture. Right now, we are facing a tomato Ebola crisis, so to speak, and Nigerians are also asking questions. But we need to leave the conversation here. Thank you, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Thank you for your time.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Right. And we're still talking about 1 year in office of this current administration, as well as subnationals, where we have governors, some of the governors also, about 28 of them, also marking 1 year in office. Joining us to talk about this is, from the United States via Zoom, is Director